So as you know, yes, I do have my CDL Class B, um, but it wasn't as easy of me getting it right. I had to go through some things, before I end up, getting it right. I had 9 different jobs, right. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story on how I came to that point, right. So as you guys know, so I graduated high school back in 2022, right. So after that, I had a summer job at a grocery store called Trader Joe's, right? Correct. Put that in the comments if you know, if you shop there or you ever been to Trader Joe's. It's a great grocery store in my opinion. Has great things, right? Has great items in there, right? So I worked there for my summer job, right? Before I went out to Quincy, as I mentioned in my last video. Went to Quincy University, right? And you know, when I was at Quincy, I remember talking to you guys in my last video. I had my knee infection in my knee, right. um, I had to be on antibiotics for like 2 weeks, right. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't do nothing, so I had to literally sit there for 2 weeks, taking antibiotics, right. And then um, a week later, I was feeling better and everything. So I had to get another job because I wasn't going back to school after 2 weeks. I told the school I was going to be back the spring semester, that next semester. Spring semester, right? Um, so I had to work. I had to do something, right? So I was working at Amazon, right? I was working at Amazon warehouse. I worked there. Then I ended up getting fired, right? I ended up getting fired from there. I can't remember why I got fired, right? And um, and then I forgot how long I was up there at Amazon. I was up there for a while, right? Before that next semester came around, I ended up getting another job at Deerbirds, right? It's another grocery store while I was at Mobile. So this is the time where I was at Mobile, correct? So at that time I was at Mobile. I was working at Deerbirds as a cashier, right? Then I ended up getting fired from there too. So I'm gonna be honest, with you guys. The reason I got fired from Deerbirds, man, because I was stealing money out of the till, right? I'm just being honest. I did steal money out the till. I forgot how much I was taking, right? But at that time, guys, I wasn't making no money. In college, most of the time in college, you ain't gonna have no money, right? Uh, you ain't making no money. You ain't I know no NIL deal or nothing like that, right? I'm at a, NAIA school, right? Now, I'm not making no money, right? And I wasn't making no money at Deerbird, so and I was helping my mom trying to pay the bills and pay, what I'm saying, and just having money for myself. So I just took money out the till, right? And that's something I do regret, right? Looking back, I'm like, why would I do that? Why would I do something stupid like that? I wasn't thinking, thinking up here, right? I was just, just taking, I never stole anything in my life, right? So that happened, and then I was still in Mobile at the time, so I had to apply to Top Golf. And, I got another job as a maintenance, right? Top Golf. I was a maintenance, right? Driving those things, cleaning up the golf balls that were all on the field and everything. When the field was when people were golfing and everything on the field. When the balls were all around the field filling up, I had to go clean it up. With the driving that machine, right? And then I end up leaving there. I end up leaving there, and then so this was around the time. So I was still there while I was in college when I finished my that college semester, right? So pretty much, when I knew I wasn't gonna go back to college, I ended up leaving that job, leaving Top Golf as well, and I ended up getting another job, a better paying job actually. What I'm saying? I think Top Golf was paying like 15 some dollars an hour, right? And then the next job I was about to, getting ready to work, was paying $20 an hour, getting paid every week, making pretty good money. And then I knew I was going back to college, so I'm like, man, I need to get a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? That was just something partial. So, and my uncle actually was working at this job. It's called Precoat Metals. It's like it's another warehouse job, like a forklift job where I was, carrying heavy metal and stacking it up. It was a pretty easy job, man. Just, getting paid $20 an hour. My check was looking good, pretty nice, man. So bringing home 1200 a week. $1,200 a week, guys, but $1,500 before taxes. So I was making some pretty good money there. And that job wasn't for me, right? I was up there for like 4 months, guys, right? I was up there for 4 months. And one day I got fired from there too, guys. And, I got fired from there too, because I was pointing, they had a point system, right? I had a point, and I pointed out, and a lot of the times, guys, I was complaining, right? I was complaining to the supervisor because I was working days, right? So the hours, it was a 12-hour shift, guys. Like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is a 12-hour shift. So I'm like, man, I'd rather work during the night, and during the night was 12 hours too. Started 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., right? So I'm like, I'd rather work during the night, just have my whole day. I kept complaining to the supervisors, like, hey man, I want to work nights. I want to work nights. I don't want to work days, right? I don't want to work days, man. I want to, I want to work nights because I want to have the whole day to myself. It was like, man, you just got here, and I was seeing a few guys that were my age going on nights, right? But not thinking that those guys have experience on the forklift. I never had experience on the forklift. So they wanted to see if I'm ready for night, because on nights, for their company on nights, those guys, um, they really didn't have a supervisor over there at night, right? So they was like, you need to be ready for that. You need to be ready for not having a supervisor over your back all day. We got to make sure you're ready. And I was like, nah, I want to, what I'm saying? So I end up, just, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and lock in and get better at it. So I getting better at it, and I end up going on nights. And, you know, and then one day I left home sick, So I really just left because of, the point system, right? It was I'm not going to get into too much details, right? But, I pointed out, right? And then I worked at this place called Penske Logistics, right? It was another kind of like a forklift job, man. Man, that job, man, felt like you was slaving for pennies, man. And you could see on the, on the thumbnail, on the picture on the left, that's me working at Penske, right? I worked there. I ended up getting fired from there too. So I ended up wanting another shift change from there because I was working about another 12-hour shift there. And, I wanted to work morning. So the morning shift was like, I had to be there at 3 a.m. and I got off at like 11 to 12 p.m., which was cool, right? But it was just that getting up, right? It was just that getting up. But you got off early, you still had the rest of your day to yourself. But, a lot of, and then, I ended up getting fired from there because I pointed out too. But I was taking it, with that job though, Penske, man, I should have been fired, man, because I've been pointed. I was at 9 points, and you supposed to get at least about 7 points, right? And I was at 9 points, and they just, let me stay there, because they needed people, right? So I was lucky to be able to work there for as long as I did. I was there for like 7 months, right? Then I ended up getting fired from there because they felt like I couldn't do the job or whatever. So it was just, a lot of things that happened with that. And then, how you doing, sir?
How you doing, though, bro?
Good, good.
All right, now. All right.
Uh, I'm trying to see. Penske. And then take me a walk. And then yeah, Penske. I was up there for 7 months, y'all, and got fired from there. And then where did I work next? Yeah, I worked at what's that company called? Sorry guys, just trying to remember where I worked at. Is had so many jobs, right? Uh, Penske. Then dang it. Oh, then I worked at U City, right? I worked for a city company. I was working at um as a temp service, right? I was working as a temp worker, right? I was and my dad, it's called the City of University City, and my dad was working up there too, right? He was working up there. He's been up there for 15 years, right? Uh, and I was working as a temp service, right? I didn't get fired from there, right? Um, it was hard work. It was hard work. It wasn't easy. It wasn't nothing easy, right? And then my dad one day, I remember my dad one day was we was at home talking, right? He was like, "Man, go get your CDL. This gonna change your life." And he just kept, he gave me the book to like, hey, he held the book. It was like, "Hey, man, go get your CDL. It's gonna change your life, man. It's gonna change your life. I promise you." Right? So I just started reading the book, right? And every time I kept taking a test, so it's three parts of, well, it's two parts, right? But if you want to endorse me, you have to take another test for it. So right now on my license, I have my passenger endorsement, right? So it doesn't just stop at CDL, guys. You guys have to, get endorsement, get endorsement on your license too. So I was just getting air brakes and general knowledge, right? So general knowledge, guys, I was I kept failing it, guys. I kept failing my general knowledge test. I wasn't taking it as serious. It was probably because I wasn't taking it as serious. He was like, my dad just kept like, "Man, what, you ain't reading it. You're not reading it. It's easy, But I think I think it was just God putting me through a test. Like, hey, I'm gonna keep making you fail until you pass. You know what I'm saying? Just God testing me, man. I'm telling, like I mentioned before, guys, like God, it's a reason why God put you through these things, right? It's for your growth. It's not just to harm you. It's for your personal growth, right? So I just kept feeling it, and then I ended up passing it. And then I had to, air brakes. I ended up passing my air brakes, right? And I was, and also before I started, passing my test, I was working at Home Depot at this time, right? I was working at Home Depot the whole time, right? So I ended up passing my, general knowledge and my air brakes test. And then, I applied when I was at Home Depot. I was trying to look for driving jobs because I ended up having my permit. I had my permit now, right? So I applied to these different driving companies. Now I'm working at Metro, right? So I applied to Metro. They said that you had to have your passenger endorsement on there, right? So one day I went to the DMV and I told them I wanted to take my passenger endorsement, right? And I told them I had my air brakes and my general knowledge. I just want to add my passenger endorsement on my permit, right? And they were like, "Sir, you gonna have to retake everything all over again." I'm like, "What?" So guys, when they said that, man, I wanted them like, "Man, F this, I'm not doing it," right? So I ended up going for it, right? So I had to take everything all over again, from general knowledge, air brakes, and passenger, right? So I had to take all that over again, right? So I ended up passing it. I had all my endorsements. So when I applied to Metro, I had, Metro, the company I'm at now, guys, they had a training class. They had a 7-week training or 8-week training class, right? So So the training, first 3 weeks of training, they tell you the parts of the, because they'll tell you, how to look at the different parts of the bus, right? From the, your air brake test, and and the outside different parts of the bus. So on test day, when I went down there, I failed because I failed my test because I forgot a step on my air brakes test, on my air brakes portion. Man, when I tell you I was devastated, I was so devastated. Man, it felt like the end of the world to me, man, because I was really loving the job and everything. You know, I was feeling good about myself. I felt like I've, got everything together, right? And then, guys, you getting paid while you training. You getting paid while you getting trained. You know what I'm saying? Because you already hired on, right? And I'm getting paid while I'm doing it, right? So I ended up failing my test, and then I wouldn't say necessarily got fired, but I had to give my badge to, and my keys up to the supervisors, because they said that, you know, if you fail your test, they couldn't give me another test date, so they were like, you're gonna have to come back to the next training class, which is, a month later, right? So guys, during my time off, was terrible for me, right? I mean, it felt terrible, but I think it was also a blessing in disguise, because um, I learned a lot while I was gone, right? And I started really self-improving myself, right? I learned a lot about discipline and everything, and um, and I know I mentioned before was watching Malik's videos, but I was really, I started reading books, right? I started reading books while I was, waiting for the next training class. I was reading books. I was journaling. I was taking all that serious at that time, guys. Yeah, it was terrible not having no job and not having no money come in, but guys, I was really locked in on that, guys. I was really locked in. So I learned a lot, while I was gone. I learned a lot. So then the next training class came, and guys, again, they give you 2 weeks before before you have to go test and do your road test. So I ended up passing it, and plus it was on my dad's birthday, guys. So it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Me and my dad, we celebrated on his birthday. We had the whole family come over, and it was around 4th of July. Well, no, it was a week after 4th of July. July 10th is his birthday. So it was we all, we celebrate. We went out to eat, and we just like, hey, on to new beginnings, man. Pass my CDL, test, and that's how I passed, guys. So guys, like, I encourage you guys to go get y'all CDLs, man. If you tired of working that warehouse job, man, yeah, get out of that, guys. Get out of that, bro. I'm telling you, it's work. You know what I'm saying? I love my job so far. My job is real laid back, and everything's real laid back. You ain't got no boss over your head or nothing like that. So it was a journey, but I finally got it. Um, it definitely changed my life. You know, I want to continue while I got my CDL, while I'm working a 9 to 5. I still want to, continue to grow on YouTube as well. You know what I'm saying? If you want to if you want to start a YouTube channel, man, just start posting. Just post. Just post. That's what I'm doing. I know I don't have many subscribers right now. I'm getting there. I'm just gonna keep posting. I'm gonna continue to put my head down, keep working. But I know God gonna bless me, man, if I continue to, focus on me, continue to, lock in on me, and continue to work hard, man. Continue to put my head down, and work. That's all you gotta do, y'all. Like, but go get y'all CDLs, man. It's definitely worth it, right? It's definitely worth it. But yeah, guys, that's the story on how I got my CDL. It was definitely a journey. I had 9 different jobs, y'all. I had 9 different jobs, and I mentioned I got fired from 4 of them, right? And some of them jobs just left to go get another job, right? But I think it was God testing me too. Getting them 9 different jobs to get me here. You know what I'm saying? So I think everything happens for a reason. I think it was happening for a reason, for my growth. I think it was for my growth, because we all gotta, you know what I'm saying? Again, obstacles. I enjoy, looking back. I didn't like, why am I going through? Why I keep getting fired? But because God has a higher calling for you. And this is my calling, you know, getting my CDL and then, you know, starting a YouTube channel. This is my call. I think this is my calling from God. Like, guys, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful, man. I'm just grateful to be alive. Just grateful to be alive, man. That's all. You know, I know God has more in store for me. So I'm just gonna, I'm only 21, right? I'm only 21. I know life is gonna get better, man. Life gonna get better if I continue to grind up. But guys, I hope you guys like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and please comment of what you think of the video. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.